So back when you started and now, how is it different back back then and now?
The time when those cars and the current cars that are coming into the picture right now.
Yeah, so it is night and day, but it is also very similar. Similar in terms of its passion that drives all of us. All of us who are into automotive journalism are just crazy passionate about cars and bikes, and that's why we are here, and that's why we do it. There are jobs that pay more and all of that, but all of us here enjoy doing this. Waking up at the crack of dawn and going out and driving a new car or riding a new bike, and creating content on it. So that passion that doesn't change. That's always there. What has changed is digital, social. Back when I started off in our office at Overdrive, there was one computer connected to the internet, and that's it. And that was a normal dial-up connection. I remember we used to download Formula One images from Sutton Images, and each image, it must have been those days, no, 1.5 MB. Each image would take around 20 minutes to download. There was no Google research, which is what a lot of people do today. We read press kits when they came. We read international magazines when they came 2-3 months after they were published in Europe. We had maybe one new car, two new cars every month, one or two new bikes every month. 60cc moped, that was my first road test, the Sunny Spice, a 60cc two-stroke moped. We had to first run it in before doing performance testing. When I ran it in, it seized on me thrice. Went to the dealership, got it sorted out, again ran it in, did performance testing. What performance testing? That doesn't even go to 80 kilometers per hour. But yeah, we performance tested it, detailed performance test, and an 8-page road test on a 60cc moped, a scooterette. So those days you would devote a lot of time to every single car, every single bike, no matter how small, no matter how it's hard to find interest, right, for a Sunny Spice.
Yes, but since you've been reviewing all this.
But you still had to go ahead and do it. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of time on our hands. We could slow cook our stories, discuss it till the cows came home, debate, all of that. So we used to spend half our time in the office playing Colin McRae Rally until the editor came to office, and then we would all pretend that we were working.
Let's get back to work. Let's get back to work.
We had no website to feed. So we didn't have that beast that kept having to be fed. There was no Twitter, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram. So you didn't have to post anything. So you went out. One day you were doing only performance testing. Second day you were doing fuel efficiency testing. Third day you were driving it. Fourth day you were driving it. Fifth day you were chilling. Sixth day you were chilling. Then you would get down to writing the story. So it was fairly relaxed. Now it is, the minute you sit in the car, you got to start feeding the social media beast. Just putting out content non-stop. And you're just non-stop on the phone, doing videos, doing pictures. Then you carry your laptop, and in the middle of nowhere, you're sitting, you're writing out the story because you have to put out the web story as soon as possible and all of that. So you don't really get that much time. Luckily, magazine journalists still, they go back home and then they rethink what they thought of the car, analyze what all they felt, and then put it down into print. So at least that is still there. But other journalists who do only social and only web, they don't have the time. So it is they're expected to put it up the minute they even see the car, forget drive the car. And that's maybe affecting the quality of journalism. But on the plus side, there's also the fact that we have far more cars and bikes to review. When I started off, it was to even see a Ferrari was a dream. Forget doing a test on a Ferrari, right? But now we do Ferraris, we do Porsches, the new issue of Evo. We've got all 4 generations of the 911 Turbo on the cover. So we've got really cool cars that we have access to. So that has changed, and that is for the better.
So even back then, you guys used to test the vehicles pretty hard,
So Overdrive was the first magazine to invest in their own data testing equipment. When we started off, we had the Datron Corvette. That was an optical light sensor. that whole equipment was 3 big suitcases, like full thing. It was 3 big suitcases to install the gear. It took you some 45 minutes to an hour. If it was wet, the optical sensor wouldn't read, so you couldn't test in the wet. Like even if the road was a little wet, you had to wait for it to be completely dry. Only then it would generate. You had to have 2 people testing the car. So I would invariably be in the passenger seat assisting the road test editor or the assistant editor when they were testing it. And it was a computer that was like this big, and it weighed, I think, 10 kilos or 8, 10 kilos. It was on my lap. We used to test at the VRD, which was very bumpy. The banks were very bumpy. And those days, cars were very soft. It's only now that you have like, firm cars. But those days, cars, even like the Honda City VTEC back then, very soft car. So when it hit the bump, you would really feel the bump. And then you had this whole computer on my lap going, up, down, up, down. So it was a very physical experience. And doing 200 kilometers per hour in that Honda City VTEC, that was frightening to say the least. And then the computer had an inbuilt dot matrix printer. So there was no displays. And that would cut up, and then you would have your test result. Now we have VBox gear. The VBox uses GPS signals, and it is this big. And that's it. You just suction mount it onto the windshield, and you have an app on your iPhone. And via Bluetooth, you get all the test figures. It is so much quicker, so much more convenient, so much more accurate also.